My name is Andrew Shimwe. I am the main speaker today. I'm an electrical and electronics engineer working here and living in Germany. But today I play the role of a lead educational consultant for Zentevo Group. Today, we're going to help you understand how public universities in Germany work. We're going to look at the various admission requirements. We're going to look at the visa and the blocked account process. We're going to look at also the different financing opportunities and working while studying. And then finally, we shall look at how Zentevo helps and supports families um, with these various opportunities in Germany. Why Germany? So um, first thing is that in Germany, public universities are tuition free. What this basically means is that public universities in Germany, they generally do not charge tuition fees for most bachelor and many master's programs. However, students are still required to pay a semester contribution, which they call a semester Beitrag. And this semester contribution normally ranges between about 100 euros to 400 euros, depending on the university, which is about 400,000 to about 1.2, 1.6 million per semester. It's not tuition, but it instead covers things like the student services. So the Studierenwerk, as it's called here, the student government bodies, such as the AStA, which is aka the Guild, and various administrative costs, as well as often providing a public transportation semester ticket for students. These semester tickets, the travel tickets can either be local or regional, sometimes even nationwide. I remember for me, it was the case that my university provided me with a ticket that could allow me to travel all over Germany for free on regional transport. Some universities will also provide students with access to sports facilities, campus services, cafeterias, and other things through this contribution, but that depends on the university and sometimes even the region. Okay. Germany has globally recognized degrees in various fields. So if you're looking at fields like engineering, natural sciences, social sciences, arts and humanities, medicine, these programs tend to be offered both in German and in English. So these German higher education institutions, they are broadly, you'd look at them in two types. So they have what they call the Universitäten, which are research and academic focused, so theoretical focused universities. We normally call them research universities. And then we have what they call the universities of applied sciences, which are the Fachhochschulen. And these focus on practical application oriented learning, and they tend to have strong connections in the industry. I, for one, studied in a University of Applied Sciences, and I found the education system very balanced, combining theory and practical. So everything you learned, you basically went and tried it out, whether robotics or some sort of simulation technology. We had the ability to try all these things. And on top of that, we also had a mandatory internship, which we completed in various companies. And this then helps you to have some sort of industry network. When you finish your studies, you can then continue and get a job. Bringing us to the next point, which is a strong economy and job market. So Germany has the largest economy in Europe and the fourth largest in the world. This is may not be updated for today, but at the time of recording this is the information. It is home to many global companies and in various fields. So engineering, manufacturing, automotive technology, and healthcare. And because of this strong industrial base, there's a consistent demand for skilled professionals, especially in fields like engineering, IT, business, and natural sciences. So for an international student, what does this mean for you? You basically have good opportunities to gain internships during your studies and also secure employment after graduation. And Germany offers a post-study residence permit that allows you to graduates to stay in the country for up to 18 months and search for a job related to your field. So for my case, once again, when I finished, I then got this job seeking permit and I found a job, and then I was able to switch to a working visa. So Germany also has something that I find very interesting, which is the opportunity to work while you study. Um, the student visa allows you to work either 120 full days or 240 half days every year. And this roughly equals to about 20 hours per week. Students typically will work in different forms. There is a mini job, which earns you about 500 euros per month. I think maybe this year it should be increased to 600. But here you only work 10 hours per week. There is the working student position where you work for 20 hours per week. And then there's the full-time work during the semester breaks. In my experience, I have worked in all these different types of positions, and it mainly depended on uh, how demanding my semester was. So there are semesters where you really need to focus. So maybe you get a mini job. That means you're working about 2 hours per day for 5 days, or you can get a working student position. If you have more time, that would mean that you study for 3 days and then 2 days you're working. Or in the holidays, summer holidays, I would then take on full-time work. So you work 40 hours per week. And this combined, the ability to do this then helps you to sort of have that financial backing to go through each and every semester without really depending on financing from back home. However, the availability of these jobs will greatly depend on the city that you are in, your level of German language skills. So I studied in English, but I needed to know a bit of German to be able to work, right? You'll then also see that your professional or your technical skills will also determine what kinds of jobs you may get. So you may be someone who back home you've repaired some cars, you've worked on some mechanical stuff, then maybe you're getting a job in a what they call a Werkstatt, some sort of car fixing place. Maybe you can work the till, or they call it a till or a counter at the supermarket. Then maybe that's the kind of job that you'll be looking into. Maybe you can work in logistics as a warehouse helper. Yeah, so those are the various opportunities that Germany presents. So what are the admission requirements then? So for bachelors, you'll see that for most universities, you need a recognized high school qualification. So of course, there are various types of qualifications. We have UCE plus USCE, which combined makes a high school qualification. We have some people who studied in Cambridge system. We have some ACE students. We have IB students. So depending on your high school qualification, there are different eligibility criteria that you have to check and ensure that you meet. Another requirement we'll see here is that language proof. So you need proof of the English language if you're studying in English, and you need proof of the German language if your course is going to be in German. Some other case-by-case requirements may be a CV, motivational letter, and references. And for some cases, exceptional cases, you may be requested to do a foundational year before you start your bachelor's or master's. For masters, we see that it's mainly the same. So you have a relevant bachelor's degree. You then have to have all your transcripts, your academic transcripts, including your high school documents. Similarly, you have the language proof, so German or English, depending on which course you're applying for. If you're applying for an English taught course, then you need the English language proof. And if you're applying for a German taught course, then you need the German language proof. We then also have the case-by-case requirements, which are the CV, motivational letter, and references. So what are the language requirements that I had alluded to earlier? So for English taught programs, you have to prove your knowledge in English in either two ways. So the first way is by getting an IELTS certificate, which is the International English Language Testing System. This one you can do it via British Council. And then we have the TOEFL, which is a test of English as a foreign language. This one is sat at ISBAT. Please take note of these names. So IELTS, TOEFL, you can search on Google and you just search IELTS, Kampala, TOEFL, Kampala, and you'll find out more information about where you do it, what the price is, and what the requirements are. For some exceptional cases, I have seen that some clients were allowed to just provide a letter from their university or their high school showing that they learned in English. This is not always the case with every university. So some may allow this and some may not. And that's why I did not put it here. For German taught programs, you may find that you need to have proficiency between level B1 to C1. They grade it in the sense that A is a basic level of knowledge in German, and C is the highest level, so native level of German. If you find out that the university you're applying for requires you to have this German language proof, then you either need to look into the Goethe Institute. There's one in Kamwacha. You can search this as well on Google and just search Goethe Institute and find more information regarding that. There's also TELEC, and there's one called TestDAF and DSH. So these are the various certification bodies that you can use, you can sit a test and prove your proficiency in German. Please note that for German especially, it's good to prepare early. So if you want to study in German, please note that to get to a level B1, you might need about 6 to 8 months, and C1, you may need almost a year. So keep that in mind when planning. And also for the English taught programs, yes, it's not that complicated, but sometimes the appointment slots may not be available. So you need to also plan ahead. And this is a test, by the way, you can do it if it's even, if it's just your plan to study at Germany at a certain point in time, you can do the test. It's always valid for 2 years and then get that out of the way. Okay, let's look at what the financial requirements are to study in Germany. So we're going to break it down into first the stages of the application, and then we shall look into what exactly that entails in terms of the cost. So first we have the pre-application. We have, like we looked at before, the language certificate. So if you're doing it with the IELTS or TOEFL, you'll check on the website and see what the current pricing is for that. Document notarization or certification is also required. So you're looking at getting certified copies of your USCE, UCE, Cambridge certificates, and bachelor's certificate. You want to get copies of those and then take them to a lawyer to notarize them, or you could make copies and take them to your high school or to your university, and then they'll make certified copies for you, which you'll use for application. It is not common that universities ask for original documents, so it is highly unlikely that any university is going to say, yeah, can you send us your originals? Most times they only want notarized or certified copies. We'll also look at the application fees. So how it works in Germany basically is that some universities allow direct application, which is what you see commonly in Uganda, which is where you go straight to Makerere and apply through there, get your admission, and that's done. In Germany, it's a little bit different because of the multiple countries and institutions people apply from. Sometimes universities do not want that burden of recognizing each degree. So Ugandan degree, Chinese degree, Austrian or Australian degree. So what they do, they have a body similar to UNEB or something of the sort, actually multiple bodies that they give the permission to do that recognition process for them. So you apply first through this body. This body will then do the processing of your application and basically translating it to German, and then it will then forward your application to the university. So whenever people are applying, sometimes they forget this. They forget that there is going to be that intermediary body that has to first translate your document. So if you see a deadline saying July 15th, as we shall look at going further, you need to remember that there is that processing that first has to be done. The names of these bodies, they are multiple, but there is one commonly known as Uni Assist. Most times the university you're applying for will tell you which body they use so that you can easily have that information, but we can go into that deeply in the Q&A session. You then look at the visa and the legal requirements. So there is a visa fee. I read recently that as of February, so last month, the German embassy in Uganda changed the way they process long stay and student visas. So you have to first apply through TLS. So I think you pay TLS some fee, and then when you get invited for the interview, you then pay another fee. There is the blocked account. This is for private clients, so people who are not looking for scholarships, are not looking for what. The blocked account is mainly what you'll be looking at as your financial proof. And then there is health insurance, which is usually under a blocked account provider. But in some cases, you may need a shorter travel insurance that covers the time before you get into Germany. We then have travel and settlement costs. So of course, you're looking at the flight ticket, you're looking at the initial accommodation and living costs. Sometimes it happens that if you do not plan things so well, you may arrive and not have enough time to activate your blocked account. So you may not activate it on time, which would then mean that you may need some money to take you through that first month. The good thing is with blocked account providers, once you have activated it, they send you back, they reimburse all the costs you've had since you arrived. So that is basically how travel and settlement would work. Let's look at financing options. So for those who are saying, maybe I'm not a blocked account person, what are the options out there for me? For master's students, there are quite a number of scholarships. Unfortunately, I cannot get into each and every one of them, but there is a DAAD database that has information regarding scholarships, when they open, when their deadlines are, and what the various requirements are. We find scholarships that are maybe linked to Catholic organizations, Protestant organizations. There are scholarships that are based on merit. There are those that are based on skills, and if you have worked with that organization before. So the DAAD database is a very huge, you can really use it even when you want to find universities. So for people who are just looking for universities, that is also the database you're looking at. I don't know if you can take a photo and keep that information, because I think this is really, really helpful. The next one is for bachelor's students. So unfortunately, there are not many bachelor's scholarships available. One that I know which is common is the Malengo Uganda Germany program. So you can search as well on Google, Malengo Uganda Germany program, and read a bit about it. They cover everything for the student. I think they have a kind of staggered flow of admission. So if you're going to study next year in October, they would have required you to, if you're going to apply, if you want to study next year in October, they will open their admission or application portal in October this year. So you can go on the website and read more about it. The second available scholarship is called the Deutschland Stipendium. And this one is only available once the student has started their studies in Germany. So it's a merit-based scholarship. You first have to come here and start studying. And after the first semester, they usually open up applications. It's merit-based, so you must have performed really well in the first 2 semesters, and then you can get it. The next one, which I talked about earlier, was working while studying. So this is, of course, an opportunity for financing while you're here. Even if you come on blocked account, you may find out that after the first year, maybe you now are able to work, while studying, and you can cover all your costs. Sometimes you may say, okay, I'm going to get a mini job and then still have support from my parents. Or you may say, I want to work full time during the holidays, and that will help me take care of myself throughout the semester. There are many ways in which you can work on it and ensure that you're able to study well. Sorry for that. Yes, so the next is the timeline overview. If I want to apply to come and study in Germany, what does the timeline look like for me? This is really important for planning purposes. So if you're currently, let me say, watching this presentation today on the 8th of March, you need to know that applications have already opened. So you're seated, but people are already applying. So this is a season for application submission. And I'm just assuming, let me put myself in the shoes of a student. I watch this video now. I say, okay, I want to get started. I go find a university on the DAAD website. I then get all my requirements. I get everything ready, I send it in. So let me say I send it in before the 15th of May. You then look at processing, taking about 4 to 8 weeks. So remember how we talked about this body that does the certificate recognition, that does the certificate recognition on behalf of the universities. Those bodies need sometimes between 4 to 8 weeks to do that process. And after that, they will submit it for you on your behalf. And then you will start to expect some admission letters, maybe between 15th July to the 28th of August. The deadline for bachelor's and master's applications this year is the 15th of July. But you need to prepare sufficiently beforehand to ensure that before 15th July, you've already sent it in, it's already being processed, and that will give you higher chances of getting your admission. Then let's look at from 28th of August to maybe 15th October, you'll then be looking at receiving your visa and preparing to travel. For those who are planning for the summer semester of 2027, so let me say you're planning to enter Germany to study in April next year, you will start your application or preparing your documents somewhere around August 15th to 15th October. And then the processing will go on. The deadline is usually January 15th, but for masters, some universities have varied deadlines. So you may find a deadline that's in December, you may find a deadline in January, you may find one maybe end of January. So it's very important that someone makes due research before entering the application process. Let me now break down the cost. So here I'm taking the assumption that you want to do a blocked account. That is your goal. So scholarship, this is not the cost breakdown for you. This is for someone who wants to do a blocked account route. So if you want to take that route using the timeline we just shared, you're going to look at pre-application requirements like preparing that language and also having your documents notarized or certified. The cost of a language exam can cost between 1.1 to 1.3 million in and around that range. And document notarization can cost, well, it can cost any amount. It can cost 200,000, 100. It can be free if the lawyer is your friend, or it can even be free as well if you choose to have certified copies from where you studied from. So if you're going to take those copies to your high school or to your university, then that will be free. Then you look at application fees. So application fees also depends on the number of universities that you want to apply to. So if I want to apply to one university, it may happen that the cost is only about 200,000 for that application. If I want to apply to 2 or 3, the cost will multiply accordingly. Let's look at now the visa and legal requirements. So here you have to remember, we are accounting for the blocked account as well. So the blocked account in this sense, currently you can find that information also on the Ugandan embassy, the German embassy in Uganda's website. They have the updated fees every year. This year's fee is 11,909 euros in and about. So that brings us to about 40 million. And then you have the visa fees, which, like I said, there's TLS, which as of February now handles study visa applications. So TLS will be paid about 39 euros, and then you will pay another fee of about maybe 70 euros when you have that physical meeting, physical, what they call it, embassy meeting, right? Okay. Then travel and settlement. So this is maybe the flight ticket and your initial accommodation and living setup. This will highly depend on maybe how early you book your flight or which flight you want to use. And this initial accommodation also depends on where you live, where you're deciding to stay, and also how quickly you activate your blocked account. So it could actually happen that in this fee, the only fee you have is maybe the flight ticket. If you plan well, if you set up your blocked account on time and activate it on time, then by the time you're reaching Germany, they're also sending you money from your blocked account. So the total in this sense would be about 50 million. So this is for a private person who is saying, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do the whole scholarship route. I'm just going to go forward and apply. I think this is a very important slide as well for students who are thinking about, I mean, you're waiting for your results, already have your results, and you're thinking, is Germany an option for me? Should I do the UK? Should I go maybe to Canada? Please take a photo of this, go and consult different people, go consult from Canada, go consult the UK people and find out what's the cost difference so that you can make a very good decision. You can say, okay, German seems a bit cheaper. Um, Maybe I even have the possibility to work. Maybe I'm very smart and I'm going to get that scholarship. Really, I think this is something that can help you to start thinking and start planning and say, okay, I was going to go to the UK, but Germany is better, or I was going to go to Germany, but the UK seems better. Use this information to make a very well-informed decision. Okay, let me look at the common mistakes people normally make. So some that I've noticed from our various clients is starting too late. So you come late and now you want to put everything, you want to rush. It's very, very terrible to do that because, like I said, these organizations, you do not, for most universities, you're not going to apply directly. So we're applying to a body that's going to screen our results and then provide us with a German translated result. So when you come late and you don't have your documents ready, that means that you're going to you're going to receive messages from them or emails saying, can you please send us this document again? This document isn't clear. Could you please get this confirmation? And all that back and forth is going to really give you, it's going to cause your application to stall, and that will really affect everything. The next one is submitting incomplete documents. As I have earlier mentioned, if you submit incomplete documents, that will increase the time of processing of your application, which is not really good. The next thing is also underestimating the visa preparation. So it's something that you have to think of. So while they're working on your admission, you need to start planning for the visa, thinking of, okay, which blocked account provider am I going to use? Or for those who are doing scholarships, you also need to find out, is it full? Is it partial? Are they covering everything? Do I need something on the side? You need all that information before you go for your visa. There is information online. Of course, if you check the Ugandan embassy's website, you will find everything you're looking for, what they require of you, what the processing times are, contact numbers for their offices, and you can really make a well-rounded research. The next is poor planning and relying on unverified information. Like I said, we're living in a time where we have access to information on Google, we have YouTube, we have various sources of information. Please fact check everything you hear. Even what I'm sharing today, you can go maybe make some research, then you come later and share and say, maybe Andrew, you may have been wrong here or something of that sort. But please do make this verification of your whatever information you receive. Okay, so how does Zentevo support families? So we have two packages, and we mainly work through these two packages. One is a guided self-application. So here we provide a roadmap for you from getting you university options, application steps, visa guidance, pre-departure checks, and whatnot. We work from the applicant's perspective. So we're not going to come to you and give you a university, or we're not going to come and tell you this is our partner university, whatnot. No, we hear what you want to do, what you want to study, which region you want to study in. We will then take the time and make the research, find out which universities you can apply for. Then we shall make for you. Then you will come back and you'll select the course, the universities that you want to study in, and the courses that you want to study in. We'll provide you with this application timeline. We'll give you a workbook, and it has in the universities you've chosen, the application timelines, and the month-by-month tasks that you have to do. And then in this workbook as well, it has all the information you need, links to guidance on visa, language exams, housing, and arrival prep. It also includes a follow-up meeting that we will have with you to explain the whole workbook to you, explain the application process to you, and then we'll give this workbook to you. If you need to ask any questions down the road, you can always consult, but those will be paid consultation sessions. For this package, it is for someone who says, okay, I feel like I have some bit of tech savviness. I can understand how to make this research. You just give me the links, give me a timeline, and I'll follow everything. This is the package for you. And this package goes at a service fee of 1 million shillings. So to get this package sorted out for you, it's 1 million. We'll give it to you, go apply, and I'm confident that your application will be successful. Of course, you can always come back and ask questions here and there. If you're confused, come back to us, let us know, and let's see how best to help you. The next package is for those who say, you know what, me, I want to just leave it in your hands. I want to leave it for Zentevo. You guys, your team is Kawa, you're good. So with this full service application, from the start to the end, we'll handle everything for you. You just give us the documents that you have, and that will be that. It's a complete, we'll complete all the applications for you. We'll have direct communication with universities. So that means that we will call them if there's anything wrong, if there's anything we need to clarify, we'll call them on your behalf, which means we have a team of people who can speak the language and they'll handle that properly. We have regular parent updates, so maybe weekly or bi-weekly, depending on your program. We'll also give you visa guidance. We'll help you with travel preparation and enrollment support, and also guide you on housing and do some applications for you for student dorms if they're available for the university that you have chosen. This one has a service fee of 5 million shillings, but we break it down in the sense that you pay a 20% deposit upfront, and then the remaining 80% you will only pay after you receive admission. So this is our guarantee to you that if you put it in our hands, we are going to do all the due diligence necessary to ensure that you have that admission. And when you get your admission, we shall celebrate and have the remaining 80% of the service fee. For this package, our intake deadline is 30th April. So 30th April is when we say, yep, those are the clients for winter semester. That is it. If you come later than that, we are sorry. We cannot help you because we work on very strict timelines to give enough time to each and every client, and also to ensure that our applications are successful. If you want to study in the summer semester, which is next year, April, then the deadline you're looking at is 30th September. We don't deal in scholarships yet. Unfortunately, it's something that we're still trying to build here and there. The scholarship field is a bit complicated. There are so many requirements, but it's something that our team is being trained on and researching on, and we're very confident that in no time we shall have this also as a service available to you all. So we only deal with people who are opting for the blocked account route. However, we always have sessions like this, and if you stay tuned on our different media platforms, then you'll see when we announce that, okay, now we actually have these scholarships and we know how to work through them. Come and join us. So that is not yet available, unfortunately. So how do we support families? The key things that we do is we do eligibility checks and document preparation. So when we sit down with the client, find out what they studied, find out what they want to study, which region they want to study. We will then use various publicly available databases. And I stress this because this is all public information. So there's a database called the DAAD. You go there, it will show you, are you eligible, are you not? There's one called the Anabin. Unfortunately, that one is in German, but it's also a publicly available database. You go put in your academic history, and then it will tell you the likelihood that you can get admitted. So we do that for our clients, and then we shall say, okay, you studied this, you want to study that, you are maybe 90% eligible, maybe you're not eligible, maybe try something else, let's find another course. Yeah, we will do that for you in our eligibility checks. We then also do university application coordination, which means we apply on your behalf. We are going to sit down, do the application for you, and then we shall also provide visa process guidance. And at the time of your departure and arrival, we shall let you know what you need to do. There are many things people need to do once they arrive. We'll give you a checklist, let you know also where you can do them depending on the city you're in. So for example, you may need to register to your city. You may need to maybe get a tax ID if you need to work. You may need to go buy a SIM card. You may need information on various things as you're preparing to depart. and also to arrive into Germany. So let us look at now the Zentevo timeline. So like I said, 30th April is our deadline. We then start applications. We already have some applications in the pipeline. And then these applications are currently being processed. We will then receive the admissions. This is quite a similar timeline to the one I showed before, only that here I tried to emphasize our deadlines. Then you look at the visa collection and travel preparation. Then for those who want to study next year in summer semester, you will have the deadline of 30th September. And we have the processing in October, receiving admission in January, and so on and so forth. So it keeps changing each and every year. We update this timeline, but this is what I would call the year's timeline, both for winter semester and the summer semester. So the next thing I want to share is realistic expectations. At Zentevo, we work on trust. So we do not want to sell you, we don't want to sell you things that are not real. I want to share with you what is a realistic expectation for me who wants to study in Germany. First thing you need to note is that some programs have limited spots. So when we're advising our clients, we will check and see, is this program restricted, or what is called the numerous clauses, or is it a free program? Germany, the country usually restricts certain programs and basically states the number of slots that can be given to international students. So fields like medicine, I think fields like architecture as well. There's some other fields as well. They're normally restricted. So you may find a university will tell you, man, here we only want 17 international students. So then you have to do the math. You say, okay, 17 international students. This is Germany. It's a German university where I'm only a Ugandan. We are maybe like multiple people applying from different countries around the world. What are my chances of getting into this university? At such a point, we may advise a client, let's add on other universities that maybe have free, that are NC free, as is in the second point. This NC free means that they're non-restricted, so they work on a first come and first serve principle. Basically, as long as you meet their requirements, then they will give you they will give you admission. So that means July will come, they'll say, okay, you are the first applicant, there you go, admission for you. Another thing is bachelor's entry grades are generally moderate and often less competitive than the US and other countries. What does that mean? We have worked on clients who had the basic principal passes. I mean, UNEB system, 8 points, someone had 10 points. We have clients who are here in Germany studying and they had the basic, the bare minimum. So what we're saying is, yeah, you're going to receive your results in a few weeks. You may have not gotten 20. I pray that everyone who is here gets their 20 or whatever grade you've put your heart at. But if it doesn't happen, please don't think it's the end of the world. Come to us, free initial consultation. Let's let you know what is possible and don't put studying abroad out of the picture. Okay. Early preparation and complete documents improve chances. That's another thing we need to let you know. If you come and you don't have everything ready, maybe some grades are held by UNEB or your school had some issues, we may then advise you that, okay, if we submit an incomplete application, we are really just wasting that application. We might as well wait for the next application window. The next thing, visa and financial planning. Visa approval is always at the discretion of authorities. So one thing we will not do, you will not hear us guaranteeing you a visa. We can only guarantee you that we are going to guide you to apply according to the way the regulation, like how the regulations stipulate you to. Will ensure that all your requirements are met, but maybe it is not approved because of some reason. Even us, we may not know why. Maybe you came to Germany some years before you committed a crime and now you're on a blacklist. There's no way we can know that. The second thing is sufficient financial preparation. So blocked account insurance should always be done. So when you see that the application window is getting done or you've gotten your admission, you need to start working on that. So maybe if you're planning to travel next year, you should be thinking of where am I going to get the funds? Are the funds ready? And yeah, so that is what I would advise here for the financial preparation. Excuse me. I would like to also talk about the academic commitment. So studying abroad requires time and discipline, and balancing work with studies is possible, but it is often quite difficult. So in my case, I studied electrical engineering, and like I said, I worked through all those different job types. So mini job, working student job, and also like full-time work. And I can say that a student needs to always be informed of how to strategize. So when can you do a mini job? Look at your program, look at your schedule, the number of courses you have to do, and then maybe you say, okay, I can squeeze in 10 hours per week. Maybe you have a lighter semester and now you can squeeze in 20. Maybe you're getting into a holiday and now you can do 40. Someone needs to know when they can do what, and that's the kind of guidance that we shall always provide for our clients. The next thing is preparation always makes a difference. If you follow a structured plan and start early, it's really going to reduce your stress. We're here to provide guidance, but at the end of the day, we need the student and family commitment to help us to be able to achieve the combined dream.